The Pilgrim Life is brought to you by the Star Quest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give.
Welcome to Pilgrim Life Podcast, where we find the sacred in everyday life. I am Deborah. I'm one of your pilgrims here on your journey, but also joining me, I have two people today. I'm so excited. I have Sandy, as usual.
Hi, everyone.
And then I have a special guest today. I have Rui, who is from a tour company out of Spain. And say hello, Rui.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Rui and I have a special project we're working on. He's actually my vendor for my UNL trip on the Camino for taking my class. So we're going to talk to him today about his company and what it's like to take people on pilgrimage. And, if you're thinking about walking the Camino, and you're still on the fence about, hey, should I walk it alone or should I go with a tour group, or what's it like to walk with a tour group? Rui and I can maybe talk to you about the pros and cons of both and what your experience would be like in a group of people versus going solo. So Rui, why don't you tell us your full name and the company you work for and how to get a hold of your company first.
Okay, my full name is a little bit long. It is Rui Filipe Navarro Portugal Ribeiro. So I'm Portuguese, and my wife and I project about the Camino de Santiago. We met on the Camino in 2012, and we met each other on the Camino. We learned so much and received so much about the Camino that in some way we had the urge, we had the need in some way to give back to all the great things that we received on the Camino. So Ultra, it is the way that we found to give back to what life and the Camino gave to us that is so important right now. And in a few words, it is what we do. And Debbie, allow me to thank you for the opportunity. Allow me to thank you for your trust. And doing our last year Camino on the Camino Frances with your college group was absolutely amazing. I would say that it was probably one of the highlights of last year, and arriving with you and your group in Santiago and have that final dinner and that final gathering in Santiago was probably one of the most beautiful moments that I had on my walking life, so to say. So thank you, Maria.
Oh,
that's so sweet.
As a side note, I'm going to tell a little story. One of my students last year, and I just saw her yesterday. Her name is Grace, and she has a beautiful voice. She is one of the music directors at the Newman Center, which is the Catholic church on campus. And she had Rui's name. We did kind of like a Secret Santa, only we called it Shell Friends. And at the end, we gave presents to our Shell Friends. Her present was singing to Rui this beautiful, a cappella Ave Maria. And I have a video of it. But I just saw Grace yesterday, and it was nice to see her again.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That must have been incredible.
It is, and let me add something. We were having simultaneously another group. We were walking the Portuguese with another group, and the first music that we always heard in every morning of those 12 days of the Camino was exactly the Ave Maria. So ending and arriving in Santiago, and the gift from Grace with her amazing voice being the Ave Maria was a kind of, really? Is this happening? We always in the morning started the Ave Maria, and we ended that Camino exactly with Grace singing a cappella the Ave Maria. So it was very, very powerful, very, very meaningful, and Grace will be always in my heart. Honestly, honestly. Thank you,
Oh,
Grace.
Yeah. It happens on the Camino. Stuff like that happens. Just little tiny little things, but they're so significant and so meaningful. But yeah, so the 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 friends you make on the Camino are friends you will remember lifelong.
forever. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yeah.
They will keep, and we'll end all the stories. And if you allow me, I just walked the Francis just from Ponferrada last month, and this group was created from nothing because my first idea was to do one Camino, and then I did the Francis once again. I did it in February during winter. I'm now totally fond of the winter Camino, and
Yeah.
we end up in Santiago de Compostela with a couple from the United States, from Boston, where Stefano proposed in Santiago to Tara, exactly finishing the Camino from once again from nothing. So there is
Oh my God!
it was amazing. It was amazing. Inside of the San Martin Pinarios cloister, uh, from nothing, we had champagne, we had the candles, we had Stefano with music, with Armstrong singing, with no rain. So everything was just perfect. And so it is this kind of being open to what you have and what you find on the Camino. The persons we were a Danish, a Scottish, two Americans, a lady from Poland, and a pilgrim from Mexico that live in Texas. And from nothing, you create something that we all together will never forget in our lives. And Terra, that was not quite understanding what Stefano was proposing, and took more or less 5 minutes, and from nothing, the Danish pilgrim bought 2 bottles of champagne. There were magnolia petals inside of the glasses of champagne, but of glass, and we were cheering for the giving the best wishes for that wonderful couple that made the Appalachian Trail. Stefano walked literally the Appalachian Trail and then started from St. John and proposed to Terra in Santiago de Compostela with us. So it's beyond
Oh
our
my
imagination.
God. What
It
a
is.
beautiful story. Oh,
It is.
I have tears in my eyes.
We had to. We all did. We all did. It was incredible.
Wow.
It's got to be incredible, Rui, to see these pilgrims who have never walked the Camino, like you and I and Sandy have walked the Camino, but that you get to see and help and watch them discover the Camino and discover these little moments, and you get to see it all day long. And what's that? I mean, how is that? Do you get tired of seeing that, or not that you would get tired of seeing that, but does it surprise you every time?
Every time. I don't know. I think that the Camino, it touched. I come from the banking world. I left the bank in 2013 after 15 years of working in the bank. And inside of the corporate world and everything that you can imagine about the banking. And in 2013, I started working in a tour company in Madrid, starting to do my benchmark about what it is this. I never knew that would be any companies that would do what we are doing now. And jumping that cliff, trusting the journey, once again, what you have ahead, and starting meeting persons and persons in person. So I would say that it is about the persons. It is not about you. You are just a little drop, a single drop of rain inside of this huge big ocean. You make part of the ocean, but all you have around you, that's energy that makes sense. So my belief, it is about the persons and people. If you take care of the persons will give you the best they have. If you give them your best, they will give you their best back normally. No, there is everything. We are all different, but we are kind of mirrors. We kind of attract similars. And I'm always surprised. That's one of the reasons that I walk and I will keep on walking. And that's why I say my favorite Camino is always the next one. Whenever, oh, so what's your favorite? My favorite is always the next one because I'm going to meet someone else. I'm going to experientiate something new. I'm going to learn something. There were on this Camino once again, there were plenty of South Koreans. We tasted amazing South Korean food. And then the Danish pilgrim, Toby, is a baker and he was an excellent cook. So in the morning we had pancakes for breakfast with coffee. So it was just it's just amazing. So every morning you would wake up with the smell of pancakes in the morning. So it is the other persons that walk with you. So answering to your question simply, no, you just can't get bored about meeting new persons, living new experiences, and being impressed by others. Always open to be impressed by others. This is just my thought.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Rui,
I'm just
I
like,
have a question, if you don't mind. I have a question. When you're talking about like how like every Camino, the next one is always like your favorite.
Yeah.
After you do so many Caminos, do you feel like, like at times there's a little bit of magic lost that, you want to take like a different route, for example?
Yes, sometimes, but it's a little bit. In in my first year of walking, if I could define the Camino in a word, would be sharing. The Camino is sharing. You share the
Mm-hmm.
table, you share your experiences, you share your Camino, you share where you sleep, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
etc. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, I would say the Camino is hope. And we have a company and we have to work with everything that you have to work with. But I
Mm-hmm.
always know that I can always get to my happy place. The Camino is right now for Yoli and for me our happy place. So when I have that kind of sorrow, that kind of I miss the Camino, I know that
Mm-hmm.
I'm going sooner or later because of course we live in Spain. It's easier and we have the company around
Right.
it. So I can always come back. So sometimes, although I feel it, I always go to the hope. I'm going back soon. I'm returning soon. So
Mm-hmm.
I kind of work that part of the psychology of missing the Camino in kind of working to get to the Camino. So just to tell, in February I'm organizing another Camino. So it's kind of I always have that happy place to go
Mm-hmm.
to. I always
Oh,
work for that.
cool.
wow. So, what do you have planned? I know you your business primarily does the two most popular places right now, which is the Camino Frances and the Camino Portuguese. Is that correct, or would you say those are probably the two most popular ones?
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
but are you adding different routes all the time, or are you kind of just sticking with the two?
No, what we try to do, Yoli and I, it is to increase the experience inside of the experience. Why? You are walking and sometimes you are tired and you have kind of, it's not that you have limitations, but if we have the power to somehow give to those who are walking with us some extras, just like I'll give you an example. We stay in places that are more than just a place to sleep. For example, when you walk with your group, we try to find some hostels where the service was excellent, where you'll find a place with 300 years old and you would be in a place that would have some history behind. we love the storytelling. We love what it is. It's just not what you have ahead. It is what is around and what make of that place what it is today. All the history and all the culture there is around that place, and finding new routes and finding new places and finding new caminos. It is a way as well as that we can find that we can challenge ourselves to give to those who walk with us the best that we find in new routes. We have the Frances from San Jean and start walking from Roncesvalles, and we have the Portuguese starting from Porto, Lisbon, but walking literally from Porto with the coastal route and the central route in Portugal. And now we are working that it is very, very nice and very interesting. It is, we call it the Reconquer path, and that we start walking in San Sebastian, considered one of the most prettiest town, it is the prettiest town in Spain, near the sea. And then we go to Bilbao, and then we go a little bit more further near Santander, and then we do the Lebaniego. So that first stretch, it is Norte, and then we go to Santander, and then we go south to Liébana, that is called the Lebaniego from Liébana, where we go at the monastery of the 12th century from the Cistercian period, where the biggest piece of the cross of Christ is. It is in that monastery, and yes, it is incredible. It is the monastery inside of this huge mountain. It is the peaks of Europe, and it was hidden there exactly for being hidden in being able to be protected. It is the Lebanego. And then we return, we go to Oviedo, where the Primitivo Camino is and where we live, and where we have a beautiful cathedral as well. And then we go to do the coastal, starting walking again at Ribadeo, and then walking a little bit more to south, and then entering and walking the last 100 kilometers to achieve the certificate, the Compostela. And we have, for next year, we probably will have something new to present to the market, because we believe that the Camino, it is not only walking. There is new perspectives. There is, when you are walking, and if you are walking from the east to the west, it is different. If you are walking to the south to the north, it is different. If you are walking from the north to the south, if you are walking the English, for example, the English, where I met Yoli and in another France, you are walking from the north to the south. So I think depending in which route that you are walking, new things, new approaches, new perspectives, new persons will approach. So our goal, it is always that, to give more to those who are willing to walk the Camino, to give them an experience. We can improve that with our work. That's our goal. And I hope that I answered your question.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Because it's just like there's so many possibilities out there. You know, people are always saying the Frances, but there's so many options to walk, and it's you could literally make it a new walk almost every time you walk the Camino.
Rui, of all the routes of the Camino, which one is your favorite?
The next one.
Well, no, it's just, I know a lot of people, they say, that like their favorite is the Camino del Norte. But I've never done it. I've driven, but I've heard that it's pretty rough. In terms of like going up and down the mountains, up in the Basque Country. So I was just kind of wondering, of all the routes, that you take pilgrims on, which one is your favorite?
I will repeat myself, my dear. My favorite's always the next one.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have to rephrase this to which Camino, out of all the routes you walk, which Camino is the easiest to walk, in your opinion?
I once again, it depends on you. It depends on the person. It is not about the Camino. I'll give you an example. When I walked the English the first time, where I met Yoli in 2013, it was a piece of cake. I walked the second time to know if it would fit on in what we want to have. And it was so hard. It was, there is, what is the easiest? It depends on you. It depends in your emotional state. It depends on your physical state. Depends, I think, most of all, depends in your will. If you have an objective, if you have the purpose, if you have a purpose, if you have it inside of your heart, because I believe that the Camino, it is something that you have inside of you. You have it or you don't. You cannot invite someone and tell him 10 times, come with me on the Camino, come with me on the Camino. It doesn't work like that. What we normally do, we do an invitation. You can't sell Camino. You can't sell something. You can't sell love. You can't explain Camino the same to someone, or hardly can explain Camino to someone that didn't walk it. The same way that you can't explain what it is to be in love if you've never been in love in your life. It's an emotion. It is something that you have inside of you or you don't. So what it is the easiest one? I don't know. I made the Primitivo in the Primitivo that everyone says that it is, and it was just amazing. When I knew it's already finished. It's already ended. So I think it depends in the person. And referring to what you were saying, there is so many miles of Camino. The Camino, historically speaking, it is the path that was taken by the pilgrims to reach Santiago de Compostela. And we're talking about 1,200 years old of path, of trail, of track, of wherever it is, and it changes. It's dynamic. So it's not the Frances or the Frances. It is the most emblematic Camino. It is. You have more pilgrims on that trail, but I think I give you another example, if you allow me. I knew that I had to do the English Camino, the English, where I met Yoli, when I made my first Camino, and I stopped it in Ponte Vedra. Ponte Vedra is an amazing place on the Camino Portuguese. And I found this flyer about the Camino English. And I look at that place, I want to do this. And it was exactly a kind of a call, this is my next one. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
A kind of a call. So it is that urge, that feeling that you have some signs, that you have the arrows, that you find the shells, that you have the person, that you have someone that can give you some advice about wherever, and you follow that signs. In the Camino, it is a little bit like that. It's following your signs, following what calls you. So once again, trying to answer your question, what it is the easiest one, I do not know. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because
no, it's fine.
Yeah, the other question that I have, for you, say for example, older people, that may not have like the strength to, like carry a backpack or, have like really long stretches or, having, I don't know, issues, like any kind of like a health issue. And they wanted to go out and do like one of the routes, can your tour group accommodate that? Like somebody that is older and wants to do it?
In our case, in referring to Ultraya, I would say it is our Compostela. We have the bus as a support. And last year we had the blessing, I would say, the luck of having Kathy from St. Augustine, Florida, that she walked with us, she trusted us to do the Camino, and she uses a walker as a support. And
wow,
incredible. And Kathy was known on the Camino because we're walking those legs became known on the Camino by the other pilgrims as the animal. Why? Because the spirit that she had, although she had her leg, she had a problem on her leg and on her back. But she did it anyway. And we went and we did the Compostela, that it is the most probably it's flatter than the other trails. And we chose specifically, we designed a Camino inside of our Camino to Kathy. But when we kind of designed, okay, let's start 1 mile, 1.5 miles, 2 miles. And Kathy surprised everyone because she ended walking 4 or 5 miles. So we had an idea, and Kathy kind of overwhelmed herself, overwhelmed us and everyone, walking much more than she would expect because she entered the spirit of the Camino. She felt the energy of those persons who were around her. She felt more and more challenged. And she ended in Santiago de Compostela when we were at the hotel inside of having the breakfast, walking without any support already. And she was walking with her physical trainer, or she was Monica. It is her physiotherapist, and she came with Kathy, and Kathy just got up and went to the place and started picking up things with no support. And Monica was looking, what are you doing, Kathy? So the Camino gives you this power and this energy that goes beyond our expectation. And on that Camino, it just came out. Maybe because it is the flat one, probably it is.
So in other words, it's like your company can actually, like adapt and support people, according to like their needs, on whatever route, which is pretty cool that that you can do that, because that basically means that like nobody, it's accessible to everybody.
I gotta tell this, how Rui and I met was actually because of a story similar to this, is that our mutual friend Marianne from Florida, I met Marianne at the preview for The Way in Orlando. A friend of hers is a friend of mine, and we went out to dinner before the movie, and I was talking about the Camino because at that point I was about to walk it for the second time, and Marianne was like, I can't walk it. I have severe back problems. I can't do it. And I'm like, yes, you can. Yeah. Well, here's how you're going to do it. And I suggested she find a company like what Rui's doing, and then have her bags taken ahead so that she doesn't have to carry them. I'm like, you can walk it. And then she did. She found Rui, and she was able to walk the Camino.
That's fantastic.
Yes. Marianne is incredible. She had another surgery. She's doing well. And hopefully she is returning this year, doing probably the Portuguese once again with us. It's the Camino. It is those persons that you find that you have limitations, you have problems in your life, you have everything. But when you get there and you see people like Kathy that walks with a walker walking, you just kind of, what am I complaining about my blister? How can I complain myself?
Yeah,
it's true.
Exactly.
It's true. The Camino that we made with Marianne in 2016, we met these 3 Belgian pilgrims, blind pilgrims walking from Leon.
Wow.
That's
pilgrims. Amazing.
That's just absolutely amazing. And I met them and I went to talk with them. Only one of them would speak English. The one would speak French. And it was the spirit. They were walking with a guide. There was someone supporting them. And what touched me the most was when I was in Santiago, when we were there with the group, with the Botafumeiro ceremony and everything. That pilgrim from Belgium passed, and I approached him, and I went there and to congratulate him and salute him, and he recognized my voice. He just recognized the voice. You are the guy from, yes, and I was just surprised because he probably talked with 100 persons. And the capacity of that pilgrim walking blind, he was a blind pilgrim, and walking it, doing it, and in the end, you recognize the voice of each pilgrim. It touched me deeply, not only for the fact of knowing the voice, but by doing it exactly what we were doing, being a blind person. It's just amazing.
Wow.
Wow. Exactly. Wow.
It is.
But
It is.
it brings up a good point, which is, I think one of the pros of, like if we're going to do like, compare going on the Camino by yourself as a solo pilgrim versus hiring or going on a trip where everything's kind of arranged for you in a group of people. I think that's one of the pros of going with a company like yours where, you have support to make these accommodations that would be hard to do on your own. And, I was wondering if you could tell me some more, like, what do you think is, an advantage of going with a group like yours?
Okay. I would say you have, of course, the organization capacity and, of course, some security. And an example, last month, walking on the Frances, and I was walking by myself. We walked, and our main purpose was to stay at the determined albergue. What happened? Our plan was to walk 18 kilometers, but when we walked 18 kilometers, the albergue, the hostel was closed. So you have to go to the other one. So we kept on walking and the other one was closed. So you kept on walking to the other village. So from a Camino that would have 18 kilometers, it ended up 30 kilometers. So it depends in your ability, in your capacity of accepting what you have ahead. What we give, what we try to give to those who walk with us, it is that organization. You don't have to worry about where are you going to sleep. You don't have to worry what are you going to eat. Those simple things, and you can just focus on your pilgrimage. You can focus in what you are doing there. We try to increase once again the experience inside of the experience. We try with the places there we stay to provide local food with local products. So you will experience, you'll be immersed in the culture of each region. So it is that knowledge that we use. You can visit some places that you have more time to visit, because if you are walking, you arrive at 8 o'clock, you are not going to visit the museum or the church or the place or the any museum that or wherever that you have to visit. We provide that. So the main difference, it is the organization, the capacity, and the possibility of doing some things that on your own you'll have to improvise just by the moment, kind of play by ear what you have ahead. It have another advantages, probably yes, it have, but in this case you have the organization, you have the security, you have the knowledge, and you have our support. We'll be always there to give support to wherever it might appear on the Camino. We can provide that.
So all of your clients, for example, not only did they get to experience the Camino, and like all the organization, but they can also get immersed in the culture of the area that they're in.
Yes.
One of the things that I found very interesting on doing the Camino is that every single region, they kind of have like their own little culture kind of going on.
Yeah.
They're very different. Like people, for example, from southern Spain, it's very different, than people like up in northern Spain. So it's kind of cool that you actually also cater, so that people can understand the culture of the area and see like historical sites, that otherwise they would not see. That's pretty neat.
Thank you. Sandy, Yoli and I, we are foodies. We must admit it, and we are in the perfect region for being foodies because, for example, we go to the Basque Country, and one of the things that we want, and we kind of advise to do is that the pilgrims go out and taste the cider and have the pinchos, because it is very traditional in the Basque country to have the cider and the pinchos and the traditional water, the traditional wine as well, called chacoli, and taste the
Oh
pinchos,
my
because
God.
you win
Chacoli is
the chacoli.
wonderful. Oh my
It
God.
is.
I love it.
Yes, and the cider, the Basque cider is very good, and you taste the food with the drink, the traditional drink. And then on the Frances at the Ultraia that we do, we kind of recreate a little bit the way, the movie, the way where we stopped exactly in Pamplona. Where do you remember the gag
Uh,
about the tapas and the pinchos, the restaurant?
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay. We stop there. We do a walking tour there, and we are going to have dinner exactly at the same place with the pinchos and the tapas, and exactly because
Oh, that's
i-
cool.
yes, Yoli and we belong to the confraternity of the white wine. So one of the things that we appreciate the most is in each region you are going to taste exactly the wine. So you are going to Rioja, you are going to taste the Rioja wine. You enter more to Castile, you are going to have the Toro wines. You move a little bit more further, you are going to have the Ribera del Duero. You enter Spain, you enter Galicia, I'm sorry, you enter Galicia, you are going to have the Mencias or the white ones, the Albariños, the Godellos, and the Verdejos, and all that different kind of tasting that will kind of harmonize and mix with the food, the traditional food. When you get to on the Frances, the octopus region, you have to taste the octopus region with the Ribeiro wine that is served in a very nice cup. So it's the culture. It is the mixing food, the drink, and in the food, our culture, make part of the culture. So it is one of the things that we appreciate the most. And of course, in Portugal, you will taste port wine. You will taste all of those wines from the south and the north of Portugal. So and then you cross the border. You don't have to show your passport when you're crossing the border. It's very interesting because you can cross by two ways, or crossing the bridge, the international bridge, or you can go by boat with a ferry. And you cross to the other side. You are in another country, and there is a different culture, a different language, different perspectives, and different approach. That's traveling that we kind of offer and provide to other programs. That's our objective.
And
Wow.
one of the things I wanted to say, if anybody, they're going, what, octopus? I have to tell you, pulpo a la gallega.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God. It
Yes.
is one of the most wonderful things that a pilgrim, will eat along the Camino. So just because it says octopus, don't put it down. You gotta try it.
Yeah.
You're gonna fall in love with it.
I made all my students try it. I'm like, I'm sorry, you have to have it. You have to have it. And they have videos of it. And it was a hit with some and not so much with others, but we're all from Nebraska, so it was very a very different experience.
That's another thing. It's seeing other cultures being brave enough to taste. Another thing that in the same way, not not in a million years, but you taste it and oh, it's okay. That's Camino opening the mind, opening the perspective. I think it's another advantage of walking the Camino de Santiago. It will open your mind.
What about
Yeah.
the Camino Portugués?
The Portuguese Camino, it is very. It's the Portugal. You have three right now. You have more, but right now you have the Central Way that goes from Lisbon. Then it goes to Tomar. Tomar, it is the Templar town. I don't know if you know when Philip II, the French king, start
Yes.
fighting or start pursuing the Templars. The only kingdom that could protect him from the French was the Portuguese king. So they come to Portugal. In the place where they stayed was Tomar. So Tomar, it is called in Portugal the Templar town. It is just absolutely amazing. It is a must to visit. And if you go a little bit more to the north, you have Coimbra. Coimbra is just amazing. It is our college city. It is the third oldest university in the world. It have a river inside. It is just amazing. And you go a little bit more to the north, you reach Porto. Porto, it is considered for, I don't know, the fifth or the sixth time in a row, the best European city to visit each year. It is just amazing. The culture, the wines, the river, everything. It is just amazing. And then you go a little bit more to the north, Ponte Lima. It is the ancient village in Portugal. It is older than Portugal itself. And then you cross the border. You go to Ponte Vedra. Ponte Vedra, it have the only church with the shape of a shell on the Camino. It is a round church. It is absolutely amazing. And you come from the north to the south. And from Porto, you have a deviation that is the coastal path. The coastal Camino, it is increasing. It is literally exploding. If someone is thinking about doing the coastal, do it as soon as possible, because in 5 years probably you'll be packed, because you'll be walking along the shore. You'll have the sea always on your left side. And it is called the Renaissance path, that it is the small villages that you find along the way were exactly from the 15th and the 16th century, those small tiny towns that start growing when the Portuguese start the discoveries and reach India in the 15th, the 17th, and 18th century. And all of those tiny towns that you find on the way are just amazing. And once again, the food, the fish, the wines, the tasting, the persons, once again, the desserts as well. And you have another Camino that it is the inland Camino that comes from an inland town, a beautiful one called Viseu, that it goes through the inland. It is a little bit more demanding, a little bit more challenging, that it goes through the inland and then enters the Via de la Plata after Verín. It gets to that part, cross the border in Lalín, and then reaches the north. So it's growing, it's getting popular and popular. After Porto, all the albergues, all the hostels on the central are open every year, every day, during all year. And it's getting more and more popular, as you can see by their numbers.
Yeah. Well, even last year, the Camino Frances, well, the Camino in general broke records again last year with 327 people,
yes.
1,000 people getting their
Yes.
Compostela, which is more than they've ever recorded.
Yes.
And it's just, and here in the United States, like, I don't know how many times a month I see like our main news sources like NBC, CNN doing a story on the Camino. And I'm like, wow, stop doing that or continue doing that, because you're going to be overrun with Americans. So and it is becoming very popular here in the United States to go there.
It is. And I must say one thing about the American pilgrims. There is one concept of Americans inside of America, and probably there is another concept about the Americans outside of America. Probably you already felt it when you are walking over here, that sometimes there is some stereotypes that you have in the States about the Americans that probably you don't find it on the Camino. I must say that I can hardly find people or people with such gratitude. It is, I must say, of course, by our personal experience. The gratitude, the knowledge, the capacity of sharing, of learning, of helping on the Camino. The American people allow me, and I'm not just being nice or whatever, I really mean it. It's very hard to find such grateful people on the Camino. It's just my experience working with the American public and walking just by myself and meeting other persons. So that spiritual part, that spiritual capacity of the American people on the Camino makes all sense. The numbers are increasing. It is just not because it's very popular or it's becoming popular. I think it makes sense. The American society is a very hardworking society, very competitive society. And when you come here and things are different, you easily adapt to this kind of spirituality that you find over here, and you are very easy to mingle. Maybe I think it is probably that's the key, that gratitude, that capacity of adapting and accepting what you have over here. It comes from the way that you deal with things. So I think the increasing comes from that, but mainly I would say that gratitude, if I may
Mm-hmm.
say.
Mm-hmm. Rui, I have a question. I will actually have two questions. In one of the routes, for example, that you do in Portugal, is there one, for example, that will hit Fatima, number one? And I was actually quite surprised to find out that St. Anthony of Padua was actually born Fernando Martins from Lisbon. He was from Lisbon,
Yes.
and I understand that Saint Anthony is actually the patron saint of Portugal, right?
No.
You don't,
The,
no,
no.
okay,
Okay, three
okay.
questions. Fatima. Yes, you can reach Fatima. You can go from Lisbon, and the Camino, the central Camino, got to a point called Santarém. And in Santarém, there is a very nice town. It is a bull and horses region. And the Camino splits. If it goes to the left, you'll go keep on the central way, and you'll reach a town called Golga. And if you take the right turn, you'll get to Fatima. And there is the Camino splits over there. It's marked. It is a nice path. It is a kind of, it's not like the Francis, but it is similar. It is a very arid area. It is beautiful. And you can reach Fatima walking the central Camino.
Oh, okay.
In that. And about St. Anthony. St. Anthony, it is Portuguese. It is a Portuguese saint that went to St. Anthony of Padua. He took a boat, and his main goal was not heading to Italy. It was to go to Spain. But a storm took the boat to Padua. And then with that storm, St. Anthony went in Padua. So he lived the rest of his life in Italy, and now it is known as St. Anthony of Padua, although it is a Portuguese. And you can find near the Cathedral of Lisbon, you have the St. Anthony Church, talking about 50 meters apart, where you have the crypt and the place where St. Anthony was born. You can find, and where his remains are exactly. So St. Anthony was a Portuguese. And
Oh, wow.
yes. And the patron of Portugal, it is Saint George. It used to be Santiago. It used to be Saint James as well, like in Spain. But when the two countries separate themselves, and when Castile and Leon start, we had the separation. I don't know if you know a little bit of the history of Portugal. In the 12th century, Portugal became an independent kingdom, because you have to look right now to the Iberian Peninsula and see it as different kingdoms, not as two countries right now. And the kingdom, there was a part of the land that was given to Henry, that was a French Templar knight that was married with the daughter of the Castile king, Teresa, and then they got married, and then they give them a county, and they start reconquering terrain. The reconquer started as well after in the 9th century, and in the 11th century, this king Henry went to Rome and to the Pope and tell him that if we can conquer terrain to the Christian crown, would you allow us to be an independent kingdom? And the Pope said yes. And then in 100 years, Portugal reconquered all the territory from the north in Galicia to the south in 100 years, and it have the oldest borders in Europe. And right now, I forgot where my conversation. What did I meant? What I was saying?
Why Saint Sebastian or Saint George is the
St.
patron
George's.
of
Okay,
is,
kingdoms, different kingdoms. So when Portugal became independent from Castile, and we adopted St. George as opposition to Santiago, to St. James, that it was the Castilian, that was the enemy. So it is not Santiago, it used to be, but it's now St. George. And St. Anthony is the patron of Lisbon.
I have to tell you one thing, to go, if I was listening, to the podcast and, I wanted to go out and, do the Camino and, I wanted to go out and do it with a group, I have to say, Rui, that just the knowledge that you have of the history and the routes and the towns and the historical sites, I mean, I'm just fascinated in listening to you,
Thank you.
so to be a pilgrim in one of your groups would just be fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you.
Actually, this would be a good time to tell people who are listening how to get a hold of you, Rui.
Thank you very much. I think it is a little bit. It is our passion. It is. We are fortunate enough to work in something that we truly believe. Yoli and I met on the Camino. Our story mixes with the company history as well, and we are more than fortunate to be working in this area and having persons such as you two that like it as well and trust us in what we do. And it's our passion, and what you love you give your best, and if you don't give your best to what you love, what you are going to give your best in. So our company, it is exactly that. It is giving to the others and trying to share with the others something that it is good, something that can help you, that can give you hope, that can assist you and give you something that you won't find anywhere else.
Do you have a website, Rui?
Yes, I do. Our website, it is a little bit hard in English. It is www.ultraesuceia.com. I would spell it ULTREIASUSEIA.com.
Excellent.
I'll have that in the show notes, hopefully, so that anybody who wants to get a hold of you can do that. Because you have two types of tours. You have tours that are already set, and like the dates are set and the schedule is set, and you also have customized tours. Obviously, I'm using your customized tours, but you have several tour dates coming up this year and next year that people can look at and sign up for, and see what they're getting themselves into. And
Yes.
and I think your email is on there too, so they can contact you and talk about going on the Camino with you, because a lot of people even approach me and like, how do I go on the Camino? So it's a very good business to be in.
Yes, we work both.
Yeah.
We work three ways. We have the guided tours, where we go and pick up the pilgrims at the airport, or in Madrid or in Lisbon. We work with those two big international airports, and we take care of the shuttles. We advise about the hotels. Every year, it's what we are doing now in the low season, is to double check the routes, double check if everything is well marked, double check the hotels, check the food, check the accommodations, check the service. That's one part that we double check during the low season. We have another one, the one that we work with you, and we work with the University of Nebraska, and we loved it. It is exactly to find places where you can walk. In the first case, we walk with the hotels, and we walk with places where you have private rooms, and we want to somehow give in that accommodations more than just a place to stay. We stay in monasteries, we stay in boutique hotels, we stay in places from the 15th century, for example. And in the second way, it is exactly with hostels, with when you want to walk by yourself, or you want to make and design a Camino, and you want to stay in different hostels, you can reach us, and we can advise you for the places where you want to stay, or where you can stay, and we advise you for the best places. Or we can just tell you to do the first 4 or 5 days. We'll advise you about the first 5 or 4 days. We'll give you the information, and you'll be on your own. Anyway, we are going to give you always a phone. We are here. We have the means. We have contacts in the Basque Country. We have contacts in Cantabria. We have contacts in Portugal, and we have contacts in Galicia. We are here for the pilgrims. We are here to assist persons that are on the Camino. Most of all, we are Camino ambassadors. We have our company and we have our business, but we are here to provide and help people on the Camino. It is the Camino. It is our main target is to assist persons on the Camino.
Wow. With that, I'm going to thank you for your for being on our podcast today, Rui, and it's been fabulous to talk about the Camino with you and talk about your passion for all things Camino. And I know Sandy and I really enjoy talking to you. And we're going to try to include in the show notes, links to get a hold of you, and that way, if anybody is interested, they can reach out to you. And until then, we want to wish you all a buen camino.
And remember, find the sacred in everyday life.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and thank you very much, Sandy and Debbie, for your trust. And whatever you need from us, just let us know. And buen camino always. Okay, to everyone. Thank you.
Buen camino, Rui.
Thank you. Buen camino.